trap you and keep you in maximum security, because he knows after a while that your God will break you up out of your prison. I wonder if I got anybody in here who believes that God can still break you out of prison. Yes, he wanted to make sure he didn't get out. It was his desire to kill him right away. And don't misunderstand that the reason why he had a temporary stay of execution wasn't due to some altruistic streak in Herod's persona. It wasn't because he had some streak of kindness, but Herod was once again politicking because he knew that this was the wrong time for him to kill him. That this happened to be the Passover. It was the feast of unleavened bread. And according to Jewish law, there could be no trial or execution carried out during this week. So Herod couldn't kill Peter until the week had passed by, or he would risk losing popularity among the Jews. And he planned on killing him on Sunday right after Passover. Every now and then, my brothers and sisters, may I suggest to you that God will give you a stay of execution. What are you trying to say, Pastor Swan? Well, the creditors might tell you that we're coming this week, but God will give you a stay of execution. The layoff was supposed to happen last month, but God will give you a stay of execution. The doctor said it was supposed to be over already, but God will give you a stay of execution. Is there anybody in here who has ever experienced God giving you a little more time than you were supposed to have? Oh, bless the name of the Lord. And not only that, but he was going to be disrespectful to the Christians, because he said, I'm going to kill him on Sunday, on the day that Jesus supposedly rose from the dead. Oh, yeah, this was the third time that Peter had been arrested. What had Peter done? He was arrested and put into prison, and we got to ask why Peter kept on getting arrested. Why did they think he was so terrible? What had he done to deserve being arrested 3 times? What is the answer? Peter had done nothing deserving arrest, but like his master Jesus, Peter had been going about doing good all these years. He had been healing the sick and casting out devils and performing miracles and preaching the gospel to the poor. He had been doing good works, not deserving to be in prison. But Satan hates the gospel and the freedom that people receive when they believe in the gospel. So he incited Herod Agrippa to arrest Peter. It's not that you've done anything so bad. Satan just hates the fact of what you're doing. Oh, come on, somebody. Doesn't it seem like when you began to live for the Lord and you began to give your heart and your mind and your soul and your body and your actions and your money and your all to God, it seemed like that's the moment when the enemy steps in and decides to mess with you more than he's ever messed with you before? It's because he's upset about the lives that you're going to impact, about the lives that you're going to change, because your children are going to begin to see a difference in your life. The folk on your job are going to notice that you're using different words. Y'all ain't going to help me preach in here. Your cousins and them are going to notice that you're not going out with them anymore. You ain't dropping it like it's hot. You're not doing the Laffy Taffy or the Rump Shaker anymore. You're not even doing the electric slide. Come on, somebody. They're noticing that there's been a change in your life, and Satan gets upset whenever your life starts to positively impact somebody else. And so Satan will rise up in everybody around you. Am I right about it? He'll rise up in your kids. He'll rise up in your cousin, in your husband, your wife, your boo. Come on, somebody. He'll rise up on your job. Rise up in your neighbor. Rise up in the person in the grocery store, because he knows that if you keep on going the way that you're going, somebody's going to come to the Lord. Somebody is going to get saved. Somebody is going to have a difference in their life because of the impact of you. And so in our text, we find something taking place that seems to be missing in many churches today. And that is, watch this, church folk praying for church folk. Hold it. What do you mean, Pastor? We pray for one. I'm not talking about that. Well, baby, we gonna pray for you, and then you go on to Wendy's and ain't said no prayer. Y'all ain't gonna help me preach in here now, because every single one of us in here have been guilty of telling somebody, I'm gonna be praying for you, and you know good and well that you ain't uttered a prayer yet. All right, it's going to get deep. Y'all go on and put on some scuba gear. Ain't going to be no hooping and hollering and shouting today. But I just want to tell you that the church will never have power until we learn how to really pray. Watch this in our text. Church folk praying for church folk. Not church folk quitting and walking away whenever we don't agree with what's going on. Something wrong in the church when our first reaction is to get mad and walk away and quit. Y'all ain't gonna help me preach in here now. Church folk praying for church folk, not church folk falling out with one another and leaving the church to start mess at somebody else's church. Church folk praying for church folk. Not church folk who do little to enhance their own spiritual development and then blame the church because they're not growing. Oh, God, help me preach this thing today. You know, I just couldn't grow there. Okay. Y'all ain't never heard that before? I couldn't grow. I didn't feel the Spirit. Even though they didn't pray, they didn't fast, they didn't read the Bible, never showed up for Sunday school, never showed up for Bible study, didn't tithe, didn't try to live right, but it's the church's fault because you didn't feel nothing. Go on and preach, Talbert. Go on and preach. I don't pat myself on the back. Go on and preach. Come on, somebody. No, we didn't see church folk gossiping about Peter. Am I right about it? Juxtapose that same situation into 2011. And let that have been Deacon Thomas, who got arrested 3 times. Y'all ain't going to help me now. Come on now. If that had been Lawrence that had got arrested 3 times, church folk would have been saying, child, did you hear? Old Larry got arrested again. He just can't seem to stay out of trouble. Am I in the right house? That's the way we do in the church. Now, child, did you hear? Their situation is messed up again. Lord, help me preach this thing here today. But the church began to pray. Y'all say pray. I'm just wondering if you can at least say it if you can't do it. In this particular case, a church member was in trouble. Apostle Peter was on death row. All of the petitions to commute his sentence have been exhausted. But I've come to tell you that prayer changes things. In the early church, corporate prayer was the standard. It was the rule and not the exception. The early church is a model for the church today. In Acts 5:42, the record is that church members met day after day in the temple courts and from house to house. In other words, they had old-fashioned in-house prayer meetings. I'm going to mess up my whole house right now. I'm going to mess up all of Christendom right about now. Because when I look at all of my Black Gospel promo emails that come, y'all won't help me now. When I look at all my Faith Blast emails that come, I see Manpower Conference, Woman Power Conference, Prophetic Conference, this conference, that conference. Y'all ain't going to help me. Pastor's anniversary, pastor's wife anniversary, pastor's cat and dog anniversary. Lord, help me preach in here. Choir anniversary, trustee anniversary, deaconess anniversary, usher anniversary, a floor sweeper anniversary.